Hi everybody, my name's Scott. I've been reloading for a couple of decades now, and I've learned a lot through my own experiences and even through other YouTube channels that have great information. The reason I'm creating this series of videos is to talk about how I do reloading in a limited space. On a single bench using specific tools and specific procedures to do both bulk reloading and precision reloading and load development. That involves a lot of custom things that I've built, but for the most part, it is all things that you could buy if you wanted to. What I want to focus on is the design of the bench that I built and why I built it in the way that I did, and the different sections of the bench and the tools that are on them, and how I use those. The bench itself is a custom design specifically to fit into a 6-foot by 4-foot space, only taking up 4 feet on the wall, coming out 6 feet into the room. I also built in specific things into the bench that I knew I would need to be able to use all the tools that I have in the space that I have. In addition, down below, I actually have some storage areas and some working tools that we'll get into a little later. So the other thing that's a little bit custom about this bench too is there is a rail system that I routed into the surface of the bench. That was actually inspired by Gavin, Ultimate Reloader. There are 4 rails horizontally, and there are 2 sets of rails crossing those 4 horizontal rails on one end of the bench, so I can have things on the corners. I also built in these movable lights. It has a little magnifying glass on it, so I can actually see things up close, or pull it back and move it from one part of the bench to the other. So also on one side off of the bench, but on the wall, are my bins for brass. Essentially, the way the brass system works is these rails back here. Again, Amazon. These are acro bins, and they have mounting rails for the wall where you can just simply mount these bins and put whatever you want in them. They're really, really sturdy. They can hold a lot of weight. And then they have these bins with covers on them that allow me to separate out my brass and to be able to mark it as to what stage it's in. And we'll get into that when we get into brass prep and how all that works. The storage mechanism back here is all of these drawers have different parts and pieces that are used on the tools to convert them to different calibers or do different things. And then there are a lot of components and like primers, powder, that are stored up here, in addition to boxes of completed ammunition that I've made. These quick change systems for the Dillon 1050 are how I change quickly between calibers that I am bulk reloading. These are not used for precision work. So that gets to the sections. Like I talked about, everything you see here, minus the bullets, of course, from top to bottom and including all of the tools, is all brass prep. So this whole section of the bench is around brass and brass prep. This section of the bench is for bulk reloading, which is why the primary machine here is a Dillon 1050. This is set up right now for 9mm, subsonic 9mm load that I've developed just for plinking and target practice. All right, coming around to this side of the bench, this is where I do most of my precision loading and load development. These stations are on these inline fabrication mounts at different heights. This one's a high mount, and this one's the mini. These stations can be changed out for other tools. This whole plate comes off, and you can change it out for other things like a vise, and I can move these things around depending on what I'm working on. Right now you'll see it set up for a single stage press, which is what most precision and load development uses, is going to be some type of single stage press, and a Henderson precision trimmer, which is what I'm using to trim down 300 blackout brass, which is what I'm doing load development on right now. Then over here we have a powder trickle charger, which allows me to dial in specific powder load. Also over here are two of the inline fabrication mounts that I've attached to the bench that hold all of the dies that I use on the single stage. These are all dialed in with quick change bushings from the Hornady lock and load system. I just find it easier to move in and out of those dies in a single stage press when it's using a bushing rather than screwing them all the way in and out again. Also, from this side of the bench, the racks are filled with things that I would use during load development. Things like a funnel for powder to load them up, as well as some precision tools like calipers to do measurements of the loads and cases, case lube tools, things like that. We'll get into that too when we look at load development and precision reloads. And that's a general overview of the bench. What we're going to do in the next few episodes is to go through how I use all of this equipment and the tools that are on it for a specific load that I'm developing right now, which is for 300 blackout. 300 blackout is very popular right now. All my friends use it, I use it. So I'm developing a load that works well with the rifles that I have and the rifles that they have. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, in the comments, you can request more specific content around any of the parts of the bench that we're going over, and that will generate future episodes. So be part of the community and contribute, and thank you. See you in the next one.